Hello to everybody who is watching my channel today, and today we have story time. So I already made this video and I've decided to remake it because I hated it. So this is basically me explaining why you should always put yourself first during traveling, but in a very specific scenario which just relates to me so far. I arrived in Quebec 2 days ago now, and I was excited to stay at my hostel, so I arrived and there was basically nobody there. I got told there'd be a few people, and there was basically one other person who I hadn't spoken to and a family, and so there was nobody to talk to, nobody to get ideas off of, and there was just no communication with anybody, and it really sucked. I was kind of like roaming the streets trying to figure out what to do with myself, and I couldn't figure it out, so instead I just kind of spent all day in bed feeling sorry for myself. And that's completely on me, and that's just how the day went. And basically I had an awful time there, and it wasn't because of the hostel, it was just low season and I just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. There was nobody there and I had an awful time. On the second day I woke up and I thought, okay, I'm gonna try and figure out what I can do with myself, how I can meet new people, and kind of how to actually have a good time in Quebec. And so what I decided to do was go down to the hostel down the road, and I said, hey, do you have any activities I could join in with? Anything like that. I'd love to get involved. There's nobody staying at my hostel and I would just really like some people to kind of connect with. They turned around and they said, well, you're not staying at our hostel, so no. All my hopes and dreams just dropped and shattered, and I awkwardly left the building and just stood outside it, pretending to be okay with life. And I really wasn't at that point, but that's okay now, because I'm doing good and everything's awesome. So what happened in the end was I'd already looked at the activities they had, and they weren't great, but they had some things, and I was really jealous that I wasn't at that hostel. Just because there seemed to be so many people in this place and I had nobody to talk to and connect with, and it really sucked. So I stood outside feeling sorry for myself, and I thought that was that. Then I looked on my phone online at the prices, and I decided to go back in and double check with the registrar kind of how much it would cost if I were to stay my next 2 nights at that hostel rather than the hostel I've already paid for and I'm already booked in at and all my stuff is there. They gave me a pretty reasonable price, and I'm sure that would have been the price I got if I booked it before anyway, but big hostels aren't always great. But also little hostels aren't always great. It's a real kind of give and take, and you never know what you're gonna get until you get there, unless you kind of, I don't know, you know somebody who's at the hostel right at that moment, because it's always different and the people come and go are always different, and this is not what I'm talking about right now. So I went back in, I asked for the prices and they seemed pretty reasonable, so I went back to the first hostel and I asked if I could get any kind of refund for those 2 nights if I were to leave. And they told me I could actually get a refund for the second night. And so I was already set in my brain at this point that no matter what happened, even if I had to pay the extra 2 nights, like completely, fully, I didn't care. I wanted to get out of that hostel. It was nice, but I was not having fun. So I went to the desk, I asked, they said I could get 1 night back, which was awesome because I wasn't expecting anything. I took the money, I packed my stuff up, and I left. I went straight from that hostel to this one I'm at now. It's only like a 5-minute walk, so it's nothing big. I walked back in the door for the 3rd time, and the woman at the front saw me, and she just helped me kind of feel like this was the right decision I'd made. She signed me up for some like cookie decorating thing, which it was a fun time. It was hard, it was confusing, I don't decorate, so that was fun. But I had a good time. I met people. I actually met somebody that one of my friends knows, which is insane. I met people that were just here for the weekend. I met people that have been traveling for a 1.5 years, just like I have, and I could connect with people, and I felt like I had just 100% made the right decision. So I'm gonna loop this background to almost like morals, philosophy, things like that, back to solo travel as a whole. Traveling is meant to be fun. There are things that are not fun about traveling, and if you guys are interested, I'll actually do that video because I'm just talking to myself and I like talking, so I'm all good with that. But traveling is very much a give and take, whether you're traveling in groups, whether you're traveling on your own, whether you're traveling with family, whatever it is, there is always highs and lows of every part of travel. And being a solo traveler, you can so easily correct those lows. And so that's what I did. I was having an awful time, and so instead of continuing to have an awful time, I kind of said, well, what am I doing here if I'm not having a good time? I've got to find a way around this. I've got to find something to do. And that's exactly what I did. I sacrificed a little bit of money, but it really wasn't anything that was that noticeable. And so I made the decision, I crossed the bridge, and I did it. If I hadn't have done that, I'd still be at the other hostel now. I would still be feeling sorry for myself, spending all my time on my phone and not making any friends, not meeting anyone. Potentially, I don't know if anybody else was meant to be staying in there last night. But I took the leap. I didn't know if this hostel would be any good. I didn't know if I'd make any friends, but I knew I needed a change of scenery, a change of place, and I needed to get out of what felt like a rut. And so I did that. I found a way out, and I felt bad about it. And honestly, I should not have felt bad about it, because it's my decision, it's my choice, it's my life, and I wasn't actually hurting anyone or anything in the process, more than what I was actually hurting myself. And so sometimes you've got to take a step back and just kind of reevaluate the situation and totally think about what is best for you. And so that is why I originally felt guilty at first, because I didn't want to feel like I let the first hostel down. I didn't want them to think that I thought the other hostel would be any better. It was literally just that I need communication. Communication is such an important part of travel. So if you can't communicate, then for me it feels like I'm not really doing much. I like to communicate, bounce ideas off people, just kind of have a whole social experience. And so I did that. I changed my viewpoint, and I thought that it's definitely not my fault. I'm just looking out for myself, which I have to do as a solo traveler. And so that's what I did, and that's what happened on my Snapchat story, and that is why I'm here now, and that is just kind of why I've had like a rough day. But I ended up having an amazing time. I met some great people, and we went out last night, and I went out with some of them today, and it was amazing. And I'm so glad I made this decision. And just always consider, when you're doing anything, whether traveling, I don't know, working, anything like that, are you happy? If you're not happy, find a way around it. It might not be just up and leaving like I did. It might be doing something to get around the situation, but there is always a way. And I feel like a philosopher now, and I'm meant to be like a travel vlogger, I think. So maybe I should stop this. But yeah, so I'm happy now. I've had a great day. I hope you all are happy too, and if you're not happy, find a way to sort it out. Don't just kind of wait for the situation to fix itself, because there is no guarantee that's going to happen, and it's like waiting for rain in the drought. Stay happy, stay funky, bye.